Hi, I'm the Rick and Rick Turns, and today I'm going to show you how I make this chuck removal tool to make it easier to pop off a chuck that has gotten frozen onto the headstock spindle. Now that doesn't happen very often if you have a little plastic washer on there, but even then sometimes it'll kind of get stuck. This makes it a lot easier to get loose. Now the way this works is, first of all, however you do it on your lathe, lock the headstock spindle. Then you've got your chuck sitting there on the headstock spindle, locked in position. Just take this tool, drop it right there into the chuck's key opening, and give it a push like that. Or you can also do it from the other side. If it happens to be on the bottom, you probably get a little bit more leverage, just like this. Give it a yank, and usually it's going to pop clear there. Gives you a lot more leverage to get that thing to come off. This is a Nova G3 chuck. It fits it. This is a one-way stronghold chuck, and the key opening right here is actually about the same size, a tiny bit smaller as the Nova G3, and my chuck removal tool fits it as well. Pop it off like that. So let's go over to the workbench and we'll take a look at the parts and everything, and then we'll get started making this. Well, this is my chuck removal tool. It's a really simple tool. It's simple to make and of course simple to use. It's only got 3 parts, and you could do without this part if you wanted to. It's got a head right here, or a plug, that fits into the key opening for your chuck, and then it's got a lever arm right here. This is 3/8 inch steel here. This is 7/8 inch steel here, and of course this is wood cut to fit. The reason for using this, of course, is sometimes your chuck is going to get stuck on the headstock. Even if you have one of the little plastic rings, it still will sometimes get stuck, although not real often. If you don't have a plastic ring, it can be a major job to get it loose. And that's what this tool is for. Now, it's very simple to make, as I said, because there's only 2 metal parts here. There's only a couple of operations that you have to do on the metal parts. This, of course, you've got to cut this off of a longer rod. And then, as you can see here, I've got a little flat right there. The flat is there so that when you slip this into the chuck, it'll come down farther than just the scroll teeth right there. It'll drop down farther in, giving you a better, stronger fit there. One other thing that has to be done to this piece, at least for my chucks, they are just a hair less than a 7/8 inch diameter for these chuck keyholes. So what I do is I take this and I put it on the lathe, and I use a carbide turning tool to turn off about a 32nd, maybe as much as a 1/16 off of the diameter of this piece. And then finally, this piece, the plug, gets a hole drilled in it, 3/8 of an inch, so that you can put this handle in here. You're not going to need a whole lot of materials to make this tool. I've got a length of 7/8 inch steel rod. I'm going to cut off 1 3/4 inches off of the end, and that's going to make the little plug here that goes into the key opening of the chuck. You need a piece of 3/8 inch steel. If you can bend it, I'd say go up to a 1/2 inch steel, but I didn't think I could bend that. I don't have any tools for bending it. I just put this end in a vise and start pushing on it. So I'm hoping 3/8 inch is going to be strong enough. Finally, of course, you just need a little chunk of wood. Just about any chunk of wood is going to do, and that's for the handle. So let's get started. This is my 7/8 inch rod. I'm going to mark off a 1 3/4 inch length right here. Now this length of rod right here will fit into the chuck key opening in the chuck. So this is fairly short. It'll have a handle rod coming up out of this and curving around like this. So I'm going to make this cut right here now. I'm going to make it with an angle grinder. You don't have to have an angle grinder for this. You can certainly use a hacksaw. but it would take a while, and my hacksaw blade is so dull, I'm afraid it might take me a week. So I'm going to use my angle grinder for this. This piece is pretty hot at the moment, so don't pick it up with your fingers, and I'm going to cool it off, and then we'll pick up again. Before I put this on the lathe to turn down the diameter, I'm just going to ease off these edges, which are kind of sharp at the moment. Okay, next step for this, as I mentioned earlier, 7/8 is just a little bit too big to go into the keyholes of the two chucks that I'm going to be working with. So I'm going to mark off a 3/4 inch length, which is the depth I want this to drop into the chuck. And then I'm going to go to the lathe and turn the diameter down until it fits. This is my smaller lathe. I've got a Nova G3 chuck on here, and this is the piece I'm going to be turning. I'm going to be using a carbide tipped turning tool that I made, this one right here, and I'm going to be turning this section, this 3/4 of an inch, down about, I think it's roughly about a 1/16 of an inch, something like that. I'm not really going to measure it, I'm just going to test it as I go. This is a really good time to be wearing work gloves, because these little slivers of metal that come off of here, if they get on your skin, they can get into it before you know it. Just as with a piece of wood, if I were doing this, I'm going to check it frequently, get the end of it there until it fits, and that's good right there. So I'm going to turn the rest of this 3/4 inch length down to this diameter. I don't know if it really shows. This particular carbide bit has got a very slight curvature, which is really pretty much what I want. And I'm only cutting with about the outer 1/8 of an inch right on the edge there. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm going to try it again on the one-way chuck. Now, it's not going to go all the way in anyway, because I have not ground out the flat so that it will miss the gears right there. But I just want to check it as far as it'll go, which is roughly 3/8 of an inch. It'll go before it hits the keys. And it's fitting good there. It's got enough play to make it easy to get in and out. So I'm going to call this piece done. This plug here that's going to fit into the key opening of the chuck needs to have a flat ground on it. The flat is roughly a 1/4 inch deep. Maybe not quite that much. I haven't bothered to measure it. I'm just going to grind it, and then I'll fit it to the chuck as we go along. I think that's ready for a test. Hasn't gotten too hot yet. I'm going to dip it in some water to cool it off, and then we'll check this fit. Well, it got hot enough to boil that water there. So here's one of the chucks. And here is, the flat goes towards the front of the chuck, because that's where the keys are. And as you can see, not going all the way down. Okay, time for another cooling. Yep, that's definitely hot. And that, of course, is why I'm wearing gloves and using a wrench. Once again, let's test the fit here. Nope, it's pretty close, but, well, it did go down in there. It's a little too snug. And let's see. Good, it drops right in place. And that's about the kind of fit that I want. Check it on this one too. Yep. Excellent. Alright, this is my keyhole plug there. And it's going to fit into the chuck just like that. So what I want to do is put my rod, my handle, over on this side. So it's going to extend out this way. I've got this in the place that I want it. I'm going to hold it down just like that. And I'm going to mark a line, a center line here. Just eyeballing it, of course, and obviously not doing any precision measurements here. And I'm going to put the hole at 3/8 of an inch. Now to drill that hole, you could put a great big drill bit in there and start cranking on it. What I'm going to use is a centering bit. I'm going to use this because it does not wander nearly as much as a full-size drill bit will trying to start a hole. The centering bits are very inexpensive, $4 to $5. You can get them from Amazon or probably a hardware store. I didn't look at a hardware store. And you can see they've got a pretty thick body. They're very short. I'm going to put it up in here so most of it's inside the chuck. So they're not really going to deflect when you start to drill. You get a better point. You get it to stay on point better. Got the centering bit mounted. And I need to hold this so that the flat is vertical. And now I'm going to use the spotting bit, centering bit, cut a hole right at the top. So as you can see there, we got a nice little hole, a nice little starter hole, and even a little chamfer on it. So now we can go to the main attraction, the large bit. So I'm going to start with a bit that is 2/64 smaller than a 3/8 inch bit. Because I've had instances in the past where I'll drill the perfect size hole and it'll come out to be a little bit too large, either because the drill bit is wandering or the stock I'm using to fit into it is not quite the right size. So I'm going to drill the hole a little bit undersized. Get that right there. I don't want to drill all the way through that plug. I'm going to drill down about 1/2 inch. So I've got this set to 1/2 inch. This is still flat. The flat that I ground on there is still perpendicular. So now I'm going to drill this hole. I'm also going to, in this case, put a little oil on it from time to time just to help prevent heat buildup as much as possible. So here we go. And I've hit the depth stop. Good. All right, here is the metal piece that I'll be cutting my handle from. And now, let's see if this guy is going to fit. No. Okay. Not a problem. I'm going to go up with the next size drill bit, 1/64 up. Alright, we've reached the bottom there. Now check the fit again. A 3/8 inch tube. Close, but no cigar just yet. So I'm going to go up to the actual 3/8 inch drill bit. We've hit bottom. And hopefully the final fit, let's see how it's going to work. Yes, it goes in. And it feels like it's going to be a nice snug fit, which is really good. So, excellent. Alright. I've got a chuck mounted there. Here's my full length rod. This is about 2 feet, maybe longer than that. So what I'm doing right now is just getting an idea of the size. Now, I've got the spindle locked. Spindle lock is in place. And what I really want to do is see, I don't want this length to hit the bed when I'm pulling it. So I'm going to cut it significantly longer here. I can always cut it shorter if I decide it's too long. But it's really hard to cut it longer if I decide it's too short. Alright, I'm going to go cut that off using my angle grinder and a cutting blade. Now I want to bend this. I've got about a 1/2 inch or so that's going to go into the plug. So I'm going to put it right about there. Right about there. And I'm going to start bending it. A 3/8 inch rod is bendable. And here's how it's going to fit like that. So I want to follow this curve around to the extent that I can. So I'm going to take it back to the vise and keep bending it and coming back and checking it until it's right. If I need to, I'll cut some off of here if it's too long. So this is a matter of just successively clamping it a little farther down and bending it a little bit more until I finally get the curvature that I want. Drop it in here. And see, at this point it is definitely too long. But that's okay, because I want to keep bending it. I want more bend right here. Okay, a little more bending, a little more cutting. It clears. It's got a nice long length for leverage. I'm just about ready to glue this one on here. I'm going to put a few scratches on here. Give the epoxy a little bit more of something to grab onto. Just going to put a little epoxy in there. When you put this on, don't put it on wrong, remember. Because, remember, the flat is going to go towards the tailstock, so imagine this, and you want this to be in the front, so it goes on just like that. I think it's gone down all the way. I'm not really sure. It's a little bit looser fit than what I thought I had. Alright, it's straight like that. I'm going to give that epoxy a good long while to set up. I've got a small piece of water oak chucked up in the lathe here. I want to put a little handle on it. And this won't take but a minute. That's good. That's about the length that I want. I'm going to cut it off right about there. It's not going to be a very fancy handle by any means. That's about 400. I drill that hole all the way through, 3/8 inch hole. Now I'm just going to finish this. I might sand it a little bit, although not much. And then it'll be ready to go on. Alright, I'm just going to put a piece of 180 sandpaper on here, and that'll be it for sanding. And I'm going to cut that off. Okay, here it is. See how that fits. And here we go. Put a little glue, dribble some down inside, a little bit right there. That plus a snug fit will work just fine. So there we have it. Didn't get the bending done real well right there. It looks a little bumpy, but I think it's functional. Let's see. Let me get some of this junk out of the way and we'll try it out. Over the course of this video, I made 3 of these. This was the first one. 3/4 inch plug, 5/16 inch handle. The handle was too lightweight. The plug didn't fit real well. So it's sort of a reject. This one much closer to this one in size, 7/8, 3/8, 7/8, 3/8. Obviously, no handle. This one worked out pretty well, and so that's when I froze the design drawings and went into full production and made this one right here for the video. If you decide to make one of these chuck removal tools, well, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I had a lot of fun with this. See you next video.